Hey everyone, today I want to talk all about sleep. The fears relating to sleep, the fear of being burned out, the fear of being overwhelmed. I have a list of the things I want to talk about today because there's a lot of different topics revolving around fear surrounding sleep. A dog went by. And the most important thing when it comes to sleep related fears is feeling tired, feeling uncomfortable as you're going throughout your day. That's the number one thing that holds people back when they're going about their day, when there's a sleep related fear. So I'm going to outline basically what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about why are sleep fears so prevalent, what we tend to see when people are coming in, how this is kind of tied into health OCD, people who have hypochondria is health OCD, just named a different way. It might not be obsessive compulsive disorder, but it's still a form of irrational beliefs with compulsive behavior, such as going to the doctor and Google. Maybe not full-blown chronic anxiety suffering, but it's still the same principles apply. And then just every single person, athletes, perfectionistic belief systems for people who don't have chronic disorders. So it goes far beyond just health OCD and people who have are hypochondriacs. I'm going to read a great quote by this woman named Beth. Definitely go follow her on Instagram. Her Instagram is the.holistic.sleep.coach. She had really terrible insomnia. She went from sleep clinic to sleep clinic, realizing that what people were doing and perfecting sleep hygiene and routines was really holding people back. I'm going to talk about why it's so important to get comfortable with the fear of being tired, and then basically a summary and break down some of the beliefs in the book right here. This is the first book on the reading list. So this will be a little bit longer of a video and probably very in-depth because there's many aspects to it. Before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button, comment down below. Let me know if there's anything else you want to see me cover about sleep, since there's many different facets to sleep-related fears. So I actually want to jump right into one of the things that Beth posted, the holistic sleep coach, posted on my Instagram in a response to a sleep post I made. This is spot on. Sleep has become a multi-billion-dollar industry built on convincing people they're going to suffer from multiple negative issues as a result of not getting perfect sleep. I would go back and listen to what she said. This is the most important thing you can remember. It's not that you can't want a nice bed, a Tempur-Pedic mattress, or a weighted blanket. It's the fears associated with I must have this, these perfectionistic routines. Now, it's important to realize that you cannot force sleep any more than you can force acceptance of any other fear. Sleep comes naturally. It's not something you can bolt down. And the more you try to bolt it down with these really perfectionistic sleep routines, the further sleep actually goes away from you and the way you think it does. So why is sleep, the first thing I want to talk about is why is our sleep fear so prevalent in our society? Well, number one, we live in a society based off comfort. Comfort is always what people are looking for, but now because we have so much comfort, people are so obsessed with feeling comfortable, having the perfect night's sleep, the sleep tracking devices, the CBD oil creams, and everything else that goes into this perfectionistic mentality. People are completely forgetting that it really does not matter how much you sleep like you think it does. Now, that really turns the heat up in the room for the sleep researchers and the sleep and health crowd. We're not saying that sleep is not important. And then people always hit us back with deep sleep is necessary for the gamma waves or the beta waves and clearing the brain so you don't get plaquing. You're not living if that's what you're thinking. You never have to research anything about sleep your entire life. Doesn't mean that sleep studies aren't cool, but it's not needed like we think it is. All of these furthering of research doesn't actually do for us what we think it does. Unless it's going to develop some sort of an actual cure for plaquing in the brains like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative diseases, it's not what we think. And athletes as well are completely obsessed with perfection. It's not a good thing. And the reason why it's not good is because we see athletes, they leave their career and they spiral into depression and anxiety, many of them, because of this perfectionistic structure that they've built as their identity, which isn't good. I have to reiterate, sleep is very important. It's just not as important as you think it is. You think in your mind, because of that 0 to 100 sensations, that if you feel tired and you're watching it like a hawk, you're internally watching it. Am I getting enough sleep? Am I too tired? Am I going to make a mistake? And this is where health, am I going to get a neurodegenerative disease? Am I going to die? All of that stuff, once you remove those fears look, you could do whatever you want. I don't take any supplements. I eat balanced and eat healthy. And I also enjoy cheeseburgers and french fries and candy. I go to the gym, but I also like to get loose. I go to music festivals and drink, and smoke cigars and smoke cigarettes every once in a while. I don't plan on wanting to perfect my life in that regard. That's a very poor way to live your life, in our opinion, because you're not living, you're strictly existing, and you're moving with complete illusion of control over the things that you don't have any control over. And because it looks so sexy on TV, like the couple in the bed where the mattresses are going, I don't have to hear them snoring and all yeah, that's all great, but you are playing directly into the fear of something going wrong in the rest of your day. I could sleep 5 hours a day for the rest of my life and be probably a lot more tired than the average person, probably make mistakes and possibly die early from the causes, but that's okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world. We all die anyway. Do I want to die? No. Am I going to die? Yes. I can't escape that. So I've looked at the pros and cons. I mean, even when I go to a dentist or I go to another doctor and they're like, you really should do that. I weigh my pros and cons, and many times I just say, no, I don't think that's necessary. And they're like, are you kidding me? That's dangerous. This could happen to you. This could happen to you. But I don't sit there and explain. I just say, yeah, I'll think about it. And I leave when I'm not going to think about it. I've already made up my mind because I've looked in that moment about the rational perspective of what's probably going to happen. I can't say with certainty, but probability. And sleep is very, very similar with that. Again, I sleep in a cool room. I sleep with a weighted blanket. And I do a couple other things, but I sleep on the couch a lot with a shitty blanket when I'm downstairs reading. I don't ever think about my sleep routine. Ever. I sleep sometimes for 6 hours. I sleep sometimes for 7 hours and 15 minutes. Many times my dogs wake me up in the middle of the night multiple times. So I don't sleep through the night anyway. And if the worst case scenario is you have worse OCD symptoms, you could still break that down and wear that discomfort. That's so key. So what are the belief systems surrounding sleep? And these are the ones that we're going to break down on the first book on the reading list. So the fear of death, the fear of being tired, the fear of making a mistake, the fear of illnesses, and the fear of not living the life I deserve. Oh, this is so terrible to be tired. I was talking to Rob today, we had a phone call for about 30 minutes, and we were talking about this in the beginning. Once you learn to break down the fear of being burned out and the fear of being overwhelmed, your productivity will skyrocket to levels that you didn't even think were possible for you. Whether you do that or not is completely fine. But many people stop themselves from doing things because of the belief system they have built around, I don't want to be too tired. I don't want to be burned out. I got to be on my A game. There's no such thing as your A game. The control you think you have over your A game based off of sleep doesn't exist. It's an illusion. It's a major illusion. You think you have control over your sleep. You have no control. Absolutely none. You can do things that might inhibit it. Like, the blue light blocking thing is nonsense. There's blue light block melatonin being secreted from the pituitary gland. Sure, yeah, it's been shown in studies. Do you need to understand that? No. Paul David, the 5th book on the reading list, which is called At Last of Life, which I think every single sleep researcher on earth would read, because everything that they think that they do with well intention does the complete opposite of what they want to do. Get out of bed, have some milk or whatever. When I work with people and they're like, yeah, well, I'm up every night between 2 and 5 and I just get out of bed and read. That's a compulsion. When you get out of bed and do those things, you're telling yourself you can't stand it. You want to sit in bed and experience the discomfort of not sleeping, whilst in time, when you're doing your disputing homework, like we're going to go over, breaking down the fear of not sleeping. Your body will find a way to sleep. We're not talking about chronic sleep deprivation. But if sleep was as problematic as we think it is, look at war, look at history, look at Auschwitz. Look at how people didn't sleep in the way that we imagine, and they still didn't die. Of course, people died in Auschwitz, but most of them didn't actually die from sleep deprivation. Obviously, it was a factor. A lot of them died, most of them died from starvation and truly being like physically worn to death. War is very similar. People aren't worried about the sleep that they're getting in the war. Not in an OCD sense in the worry, but it's just that the internet has convinced us. Let me read that quote one more time, because we're halfway through the video. Sleep has become a multi-billion-dollar industry built on convincing people that they're going to suffer multiple negative issues as a result of not getting perfect sleep. This can't be any more spot on. Let me rephrase that as another way to another video I'll do later on. Nutrition and supplements has become a multi-billion-dollar industry, convincing people that they're going to suffer from multiple negative issues if they don't get the perfect nutrition, they don't get the perfect this and that, and all the supplements. You never have to take a supplement for your entire life. It's not necessary in most cases. Yes, if you have a vitamin deficiency and you have Crohn's and celiacs, we're not talking about that. People think supplements benefit your life this much, where philosophy and acceptance will benefit your life this much when applied properly. Again, this doesn't mean you can't take supplements and you can't, I eat healthy, I go to the gym. We always are saying, people are like, you don't care about health. I care about health more than most people. More than most, but it doesn't define me and who I am as my identity. Bye, Erica's leaving. She's so funny. Bye. So she's a character. She's just like driving away. I heard the garage door opening. She's like, I'm like, this girl right here. So before I go into breaking down the belief in the book, I want to talk about why getting comfortable with feeling tired and stressed is okay. Many people that are moving along quite nicely on their OCD recovery journey still have fears of being burned out and overwhelmed. And then they go, well, how do I know if I'm overwhelmed or burned out? You can't know. Trying to get the certainty on that is key. But I can tell you the way I live my life, and you can just listen to this. People will always say it's a scapegoat. I've had people say to me, oh, everyone's going to die is a bullshit excuse. If you want to see it that way, that's fine, but it's not to me, and I'll tell you why. My goals and my ambitions don't identify me. It's me, the separate human, and my goals and identity. What I think are my identity, which can change at any moment. Right now, I identify as someone who could be healthy and likes hiking. Those are things that I think identify me, but they actually don't, because when I was younger, they didn't identify me, so they just identify me now. There's no such thing as the true self or the true identity. So when people, like, I'm always tired, I'm a tired person, I'm burned out all the time. You're not. You're just right now, it feels so real that you have attached your identity to the way you're feeling. So wearing the discomfort of being burned out or the discomfort of possibly making a mistake from being too tired is so key. And then this plays into all, like, healthcare providers. Oh no, I have to be on my A game. I'm a surgeon. I have to be on my A game. I'm an accountant and I'm talking to top people. You don't. That is completely irrational and completely a myth. People, there's no such thing as your A game. It's not a thing. Some days you have better moments and some days you have worse moments. Some days it's more neutral and vice versa. The control that you think over the A game that you have based off of feeling good, remember, you could have got 9 hours and OCD will convince you in 2 seconds that you haven't slept at all. So it's not in the way that we imagine. So like, wearing the feeling of being tired is so key. And realizing that even if you were burned out, even if you were exhausted, it's not the end of the world. And that's going to lead us directly into the first book on the reading list. So remember, if you want to learn more about this book, OCDrecovery.com, under the resource tab, read them in order. Page 96, 97. I'm going to go through the DIB sheet. Activating event plus belief systems equals C. Emotional consequence, behaviors, and emotions. So the activating event is, we'll say, being burned out or being tired or not sleeping or insomnia. So put that in there. These are the belief systems that we hold, the irrational beliefs, which equal the unhealthy consequence. I must feel great all the time. I have to be on top of my A game at all times. It's awful. It's terrible to be tired. I can't stand being burned out. If I'm burned out, then my OCD is going to get worse and I'm never going to recover. The fear of fear, the fear of fear, repeat. Life is not worth living. It's worthless if I can't, feel great. People base their entire lives off the way they feel. That's understandable, but a mistake. When you look at the people who are doing the things you want to do in life, they're not worried about sleep. Yes, they understand sleep is important. That's not what we're saying. I have to always say that. Your fear about the perfection of sleep is 100% holding you back, without a doubt. I always say this in groups. The fear of not sleeping is far worse than actually not sleeping. The fear of not sleeping is much more problematic than getting poor sleep. Yes, if you're up for 3 days in a row, you're probably going to have some problems. I was watching a video that Rob sent me of a guy who was a coder, that Bob Parkinson's from GoDaddy. He goes, I would stay up for 60 hours straight coding and start hallucinating. And I would go home and take a nap, sleep for 6 hours, run when I woke up and do it again and start hallucinating. So, like last night was a great example. I went to sleep. I get up at 5 in the morning. I went to sleep at little before 11, so 6 hours, and I woke up twice. That's just the way it goes. No, it's not the end of the world. So those belief systems, those demands, awfulizing, and shoulds lead to your consequence. So the major dysfunctional, unhealthy emotions could be panic, extreme tired. Remember, it's called the great mimicker. Anxiety, OCD, doesn't matter. Anxiety-based disorders. It will mimic the feeling of burnout and overwhelmed. If you're afraid of being burned out, if you're afraid of being overwhelmed and forgetting stuff, neurodegenerative and health OCD, it's going to mimic all those symptoms. The maladaptive, unhelpful behaviors that you're feeling could be resentment and anger towards yourself for not getting good sleep. And then the other unhelpful behaviors is all the compulsive behaviors you're doing. Constantly reading sleep research, don't need to happen. Constantly looking at dopamine and serotonin research. Constantly trying to understand brain-derived nootropic factor, BDNF. All those things. That's great. I understand a decent amount of that because of my schooling, but it's never been helpful in my practical life. It was cool to learn, to have a conversation. Hey, did you know this? Did you know that? But it's just not applicable. And I see so many people get stuck up on this stuff because they think they're going to live forever. It's just not a necessary thing. Sleep turns people up the most. It turns the heat up in the room the most because we're so sold on this. And then like the sleep tracking devices, all the perfectionistic health sleep routines, the going to the doctors if you're too tired, the pulling back from work and then life, all the things, just putting your life into a box. And it's not really the best thing to do. Now, the flexible preferences, this is where you break things down, the disputing, right? Where is holding this sleep belief getting me? It's getting me nowhere. Compulsively looking for the right way to sleep, compulsively searching for the right way to live forever, how to not be tired, how to avoid burnout, how to live a very minimal life. And it puts a lot of people's lives into a box. Is this belief helpful or getting me into trouble? It's obviously getting you into trouble because you wouldn't be here watching this video. Where is the evidence to support my irrational belief? Is it really awful? No, it's not awful. I've never been a big sleeper. I've never been big on sleep, and I've never gotten good sleep. I hardly ever sleep at 6 hours straight, ever, let alone 8 hours straight. Never happening unless I'm coming back from a music festival and I've slept like 3 hours in 4 days. But it's not like I imagine. And your body will find sleep in some way. People say, oh, that's reassurance. It's not. That's a fact. Your body will find sleep. Go ahead, try to stay up for a week straight and see what happens. You're going to find some naps here and there, even if you don't want to. So, is it really awful? Can I not stand it? Of course you can stand it. It's the fear. The fear drives the cycle. The compulsions, it's the engine. The fear is the engine of the cycle. The compulsions and the avoidance behaviors are the gasoline that drive the engine. And this will lead to your new philosophies, such as, I would really prefer to not be tired. I would really prefer to not be exhausted or have burnout. But I have goals and I'm going to go towards them. Maybe I'm a little bit unbalanced with my goals. Maybe I don't sleep as well. Maybe I die young. Maybe I die at 60 instead of 80. But I'm not promised any amount of life. The fact I'm 32 years old and I'm still here is an incredible thing. Many people don't get that. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to learn more about sleep-related fears, please comment down below. Leave me all sorts of comments. This is going to be a good conversation section because a lot of people have questions about sleep. There's a lot of irrational beliefs around sleep. I know it's redundant. I do want to read this quote one more time to end it from Beth, who suffered with severe insomnia. Sleep has become a multi-billion-dollar industry built on convincing people fear they are going to suffer multiple negative issues, fear, as a result of not getting perfect sleep. If you sleep, you sleep. If you don't, you don't. That's as far as you have to go. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, again, info at OCD Recovery if you're interested in webinar and coaching services. And we'll see you again. Peace out, guys.